still in chapter 6, and now we're going to look at what we call the MAD, the mean absolute deviation. It's a way of measuring errors in a model, okay? And that's just really what it is. So let's take a look. First of all, in order to know this, the mean absolute deviation, you have to know what absolute deviation is. It's the absolute difference between the forecasted and the actual. Okay, so you see these lines right here. This actually means absolute. Anytime you see absolute, an absolute number is always positive and it has vertical lines. So I want to know the absolute difference. Deviation is the difference between actual minus forecasted. Okay, so far so good, guys. Okay, let's move on. So this is really this is average arithmetic deviation against or versus average absolute deviation. So the average arithmetic deviation is the difference between two numbers. Okay. So I'm going to take this number, and by the way, these numbers came off the chart. I didn't go back and get to the chart, but these numbers came off the chart. So I'm looking at the difference between this, which is 0.34, and then I'm going to divide by 2 because I'm using two concepts here. If I were using 3, I would divide by 3. So 0.17 is the average arithmetic deviation, but if I'm going to do the average absolute, it's plus this plus that, add together, divide by 2, then I'm going to get 13.5. Okay? So this is what we're going to be looking at, is the average absolute deviation. Okay, so and this is, guys, I am not great in charts and graphs, and we're getting ready to take a look at them, so I'll do the best I can. So the MAD, okay, is going to be the sum of, remember that little crazy E is the sum of our actual sales minus forecast sales. And the fact is I've got absolute here, so I've got these little lines here. So here's what it looks like divided by the number of periods. N is the number of periods that I'm looking at. And so here is, if we were looking at a chart here, so the solid line is my actual, the dotted line is my forecast. And it looks like I'm looking at a 3-year period right now, okay? So and we use these graphs in real life. Your Excel can do all these graphs and charts. So we use them all the time. Now, what can you tell about this right now? That sometimes my actual is higher. Actually, and it looks, by looking here, my actual has been higher all along, and I'm forecasting, my forecast was down. So, but there was periods where actual came down, but I didn't forecast down. And so let me back up. When I'm talking about actual and forecast, I forecast first, which is the dotted line. I'm sorry, I don't know what you might call it. Yeah, the broken line. That's what I forecasted. Then I started tracking what actually happened. So if you notice, I never ever really forecasted as high as I went or as low as I went. When we forecast, we actually usually forecast pretty conservatively. At least most of us business owners do. I've been in sales for 30 years and I've learned to forecast conservatively because I'd rather be able to make my forecast than not make my forecast. Okay, you guys still with me? I'm hoping so. Next, we're going to go to weighted moving average model. Now, a weighted moving average means that I'm going to assign a weight to it, but it constantly moves. Okay? Okay. So, getting back to here. Sorry about that. My dog was barking really bad. So, I will assign a weight to a time period based upon my judgment. So, here's the issue is what my judgment is. Okay? So just remember the sum of the weights normally equal 1. Okay. Let me get to the formula for this. This is a heavy duty formula and I don't want you to quit on me now. Here's the formula for weighted moving average using 3 months, and they assigned a weight of 0.1, 0.3, and 0.6 as follows. And so W is the weighted. Let me go back. Let's go back. Hold on. So here is my chart again. Remember, I had January, February, and March. Okay. And let's go back now. And so what they're saying that January, I weighted it as a 1. I'm sorry, 0.1. February was weighted as 0.3 and March was weighted as 0.6. Again, how you determine the weights is based upon the person doing the forecasting. Okay, so the weighted average of the first month times the actual of January plus the weight of the second month times the actual of February, T-1, because we're in March doing it for April. Remember, forecasting for March plus 1, which is April. And then the weighted average for the third month times the average for that month divided by the sum of the weight. So here's the formula. So 0.1 times 245 plus 0.3 times 244 plus 0.6 times 250. So this was January, February, March. These were the weights for January, February, March. And so actually April is anticipated to be 247.70. I know this is a lot to think about. So here is a little chart just showing me the weighted average, the 247. I know we got 70. I think that's not accurate. Okay. So here's a little chart. Okay, I'm going to stop here because I've got to go to we've got 2 more modules and they're kind of daunting. So I'm going to stop with this one and pick up in the next video.